We'll have a quick look at pivots.
Wait. Matron, take them away.
And a warm welcome to one and all. If this is your first time here, big fella, that is the Scruffy Trader. And what I'm going to do today is kind of help one of the guys I was speaking to across the weekend, Steve. Salute to you, my friend. And he likes pivots. So what I thought I would do is I'd pull a chart up and we'll put some pivots on and we'll see if there's a way you can trade with it. So that sounds good. Hit that little subscribe button. Genuinely helps and motivates me to do more of this. If you like the video, click the like and make certain all of your notifications are switched on. Boom. All right. So where are we up to? What are we going to do? Well, I trade the same markets pretty much over and over. Why? Well, you get to know them and you get to see the heartbeat that's within them. And I suppose the best analogy is a dance partner. If you got somebody with two left feet, you don't know what's going to happen. They're going to stand on your toes and it's just a royal mess. But if you get into somebody with a bit of a groove and you're sort of working your way around the dance floor and you're in good motion, you sort of become counterintuitive to each other because you roughly know what they're going to do. Trading the same charts is very similar. You're just focusing on what their movements are. Now, at the end of the day, a chart is just a chart. And it doesn't matter what the name is in the top corner. It's just the speed of movement that it's going to go from point A to point B. It's that simple. I like fast markets, but I don't like ultra fast markets. Like the Dow, for argument's sake. I just can't get away with it. It's too volatile because it'll move so fast. It can put you in a world of pain that you just don't want to be in. Whereas the DAX, don't get me wrong, the DAX can do the same, but it's not as brutal as the Dow. And why else do I trade it? Well, I kind of traded it for donkey's years, and that's it really. You just get used to it. So let me flick it over. All right, so I'm all marked up and I've got my key points in that I like. Now, with this, there are things that I want to look at straight away. It is in a heavy sell, or is it? Okay, because it is plateauing here. Now, it has plateaued and dived down. But there are waves within the market, so it's come down, it's stalled, it's come down, it's stalled, it's stalled, it's stalled, and now it's gapped. Now the gap is interesting because markets look to fill gaps. Now the question is, when will it look to fill a gap? Because at the moment, this looks to be on a downward path, okay? But we're coming into a cluster of key levels, so this level to me would be interesting. This is also showing signs that is interesting. So how can I trade it? Just using a pivot. Well, let's have a look. So if I drop a pivot point on, just like so. Now, this is a daily pivot. I'll just pull this up. You can see how it's made up. It is the high, the low, the close divided by 3 on a daily chart that it's worked that out. Okay, and we can see that it is below the opening pivot. Now, if it opens below a pivot point here, it has a tendency to go and hit the other levels within it. Well, it's bashed right through them. So this is kind of telling you there's a lot of momentum to the downside. But it's also telling you it's stretched. Why is that? Because it's got out of S3. All right. That is the top layer. Okay. So let's step this out a little bit. So this is telling me this level here could be something to look at. let's look at the weekly and see what it's doing. Well, there's the pivot point for the open, which would have been last night. And it has opened well below that pivot. And now we have an S1 here. So this level becomes interesting for a target point. Just drop this in. So I'm just going to put a little line here. Okay. Just like so. And now I'm going to change it to a 4-hour. So I can see what's going on. Right. So what I've established in just a couple of clicks of the mouse. Oh, bloody hell, boys and girls. Coughing fit. Need me coffee. So what I've established there with a couple of clicks of the mouse is a dominant direction holding below the key pivot point from a weekly and a daily. And now what I'm doing is I'm looking to see if there's a reasonable way to get in, to get to a target point of this S1 and this one here. So I'm going to drop in another line there. Well, at least I will do when I pick it up. There we go. Okay. And now this section here, this pivot, I'm going to use as an entry point. Okay. So when it closes below there, I'm going to look to get into this. Okay. So I'm going to move this down into a 5-minute chart so I can see it. There we are there. And I'm looking for the first close under here. Okay. And if I can get a close underneath that pivot, it then gives me some target points I can work to. All right. So that's what we're going to do. All right. So let me run the trade because you know what I'm going to do. And then when I've finished, we'll come back and we'll have a little bit more chat. Okay. Okay, guys, stopped out. So what have we done? Well, we've used the pivot as an entry point, or a trigger point rather. When the price moved away from me slightly here, I just pulled the order onto the pivot just to get a little bit of a better price because it had rattled all the way up here, and then just left it to run down. Now, as soon as this got down to here and started to turn green, as we saw, I immediately took some money off the table, which is here. Okay. Now, it's come back up and retested the entry point, but I'd already pulled my stop in because I took some money off. Why did I do that? Well, I've been paid and I'm also protecting the account as well. Now, if I want to go back to market, there's no reason why I can't, right? Because it's early morning, it's 9:10, and just repeat the process. Or you just think, well, that was my trade for the day. I'll just step away now. And that's it, really. I mean, I get kind of questioned on this all the time about why do I step away, and it's quite simple, really. I'm only in this to be paid. I'm not in this to be a hero, you know. Yes, it's wonderful to have the big trades, but our job is not to have a big trade. It's to be paid for taking a trade, and there is a difference. Now, yeah, I probably will go back to market a little bit later on this morning. Just let the market settle down a little bit. and repeat the process over and over. And that's what trading is. It's just rinse and repeat constantly. And Monday morning, it's not a particularly good day to trade, but once you get to dinner time, the markets have found that beat. You can do it again, because you'll normally get a decent setup on a morning and a decent setup on the afternoon. So you get kind of like 2 bites of the cherry. And hopefully within that, you'll find enough money to pay you. And that's it. And that's why I carve all the time. You know, I don't know how far a market's going to go. Nobody does. But what I can do is I can put a framework in, which today was the pivots. I can have an idea based on multiple factors. Well, in this case, I used the pivots solely, and I went out to the weekly, from the daily down into the 4 hourly. And I don't know whether you've heard this term, but this thing called +1 -1. And basically you start in the middle and you go one section up and one section down to get an idea of what you're trying to achieve. And then you use all those 3 time frames to make a decision. Okay, and that's kind of what I've done here. And it's paid me. So it's simple as that. So a nice easy one for you, boys and girls. Hopefully it might inspire you a little bit with fibs. And Stephen, I do hope that it helps you. Genuinely do. Okay. Talking of help, are you going to help me make a coffee?
You mean I'll make the coffee? I'll make a coffee, yeah.
You see that subtle hint, boys and girls? That was great, that one.
It wasn't subtle at all.
Of course it was subtle.
You asked.
I said I'd make it. Would you help?
That's code for you. Go make us a coffee.
All right. That's code for go make me a coffee. It's not actually. It just means that Scruff wants a coffee, because we all know Scruffy likes a coffee. He likes Winky as well, so he's going to toddle off down into the kitchen and play with her while she makes a coffee. So as always, boys and girls, trade well, keep your risk managed, but above all, do what you love. The money will follow. See you all in the next one.